So, I've been thinking about this particular journal topic for a little while now, and I didn't really want to create a journal entry for it until I had all of my thoughts kind of worked out. And that topic is, how do I feel about Jennifer saying that she has grown beyond me and the kids? I was looking at the series of text messages that Jen and I sent back and forth about a year ago, and in those messages, Jen said, "I have grown so much, and I am not the same person that I was when I married you," and that is really, really disappointing to me. As I look back on things now, I realize that this whole time she has been trying to discover herself, trying to discover who she truly is, and did not come to the self-realization, the self-knowledge that I did at a much earlier age. Because when I decided that Jennifer was the one for me, I already knew who I was. I had already done so much soul searching and exploration of who was I and who did I want to be. What were my philosophies on life? What were my approaches to the difficulties and the challenges? And I had explored a lot of myself and become self-aware. And Jennifer had not. And because of that, she decided to marry me. She decided to have children with me. And then, because she had not fully developed as a person, she had not fully explored who she was and who she wanted to be in this world, she came to the realization that she had made a mistake. And yet, she had married, and she had had children. And so now what the heck was she going to do? And I believe she came to this realization many years ago, perhaps even before we came to Pennsylvania. And she's been struggling with it. I think the evidence is that she's been struggling with it for a long time. But last year it came to a head, and she realized that being married to me and being a wife and a mother of 3 was not what she wanted in life. And so we divorce, so that she is free to continue to explore who she is and figure out who she is. And because she has not figured out who she is or what she wants out of life, or because she figured it out far too late, after marriage, after children, the children and I pay the price for that. The heartache and the confusion, the uncertainty, the grief is all a result of stepping into something that she did not realize what she was getting into. And that, I think, is part of the core of the anger and frustration that I feel. That you should always examine the consequences of every action and realize, especially something as huge as taking the vows of marriage, something as huge as bringing a new life into this world, you should realize the consequences of those actions and be prepared for them. And be prepared to accept those consequences. So now, we deal with the aftermath of Jennifer realizing that she has grown, of Jennifer realizing that she was not mature enough to marry me, and not mature enough to have children. We will continue to deal with the consequences of that for the rest of our lives. I can only hope that she finds some measure of peace with herself and finds some measure of peace in discovering who she feels that she truly is. And I truly hope that she reveals that revelation to me someday. Boy, I would love to know who it is that you truly think you are, Jen. If not the woman that I decided to marry. I would truly like to know that. That would bring a measure of closure to my pain and my grief and my anger and my frustration. On another note, as a coping mechanism for all of this, I came to the realization the other day that part of this, Jennifer has grown and discovered that that growth does not include us in her lives. New place. That I should really just treat this like Jennifer was my girlfriend. I had girlfriends before Jennifer, and we had our differences and we parted ways. I never really had a bad breakup with a girlfriend before Jennifer. And what I need to do is to look at it as if Jennifer was a girlfriend that I broke up with. And now I need to move on and find somebody who is more compatible with me. I don't know who that is yet, but I don't feel like I've changed all that much in the 20 years since I started dating Jen. I'm the same person I feel like I was back then, so I need to find somebody who is comfortable with that person. Find myself a new girlfriend. It'll be a little more complicated with the kids along the way, but when I came to that realization yesterday, I said, okay, if I look at it through this lens, it doesn't hurt so much. If I look at it through this lens, it feels more natural for her to have wanted to leave. Maybe it's me deluding myself. Maybe it's a revelation. But I definitely wanted to get it down on tape and record. And I had been thinking about those text messages that she and I sent back and forth about a year ago. And I had been wondering, had anything changed in the year since we sent those messages back and forth? And looking at the things that I said in those messages about how I knew what I was getting into, about how being a husband and a father was difficult, and that marrying her had meant that I was marrying someone that I felt would be my partner in those endeavors. My arguments haven't changed in the year since those messages. And my mindset hasn't changed in the year since those messages. And I wonder if Jennifer's has. I don't think it has. I think she truly had decided when she sent those messages to me that when she said it was time for a change, she meant a change for her. And she didn't really care whether that change hurt me.